Good afternoon. It is Saturday, February the 6th. I'm back in the reading nook. It's a bright and chilly day, and I have some parcels to unbox, as well as a hot cup of tea. So let's get to it. Another package from drivethrurpg.com. So you can tell basically why it's packaged and the glue. So away pretty easily, and what we've got in here is Horror in the Windy City, a Whispers in the Dark setting from Saturday morning scenarios. Horror in the Windy City. Horror in the Windy City brings the excitement, intrigue and brutal chaos of late 19th century Chicago to your table using the 5th edition rules you already know as adapted by the Whispers RPG. The sourcebook contains new rules, backgrounds and new alignment system, NPCs, scenarios, pre-gens for more immediate play and much more. In short, it's everything you need to take your party of investigators to Chicago. It'll be up to them to find their way out. Chicago's historic neighborhoods and organizations, secret and public, mundane and supernatural, criminal and ultralistic, are presented with scenario hooks and NPCs of note. The Dreamland's incursion into Chicago has had profound effects on the city. Discover what's happened and the forces shaping the transformation. No story would be complete without including H. Holmes, his infamous murder hotel, and World's Columbian Exposition of 1893. Holmes, his cronies, and his home are explored in exquisite detail and integrated into the provided scenarios. Now, essentially, H. Holmes is infamous for the men and women he would lure to his hotel and essentially lock in and murder in the run-up to the World's Columbian Exposition of 1893. There's a very good book on the subject, Devil in the Windy City, which is worth your time reading, I think, if you're going to have a look at this. In the meantime, this is because essentially is the equivalent of Cthulhu by Gaslight for 5th edition, for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So you have, I was going through, you open up, and the first subject you have, there's a nice article on people of colour in the 19th century. Now that's important because it sets the groundwork for what the game is about, and the tone it's taking upon that attitudes, because the attitudes, unfortunately, to people of colour during the period were reprehensible. We have a look at Frederick Douglass, who campaigned for the rights of African Americans during the period, and it discusses several other figures that essentially, obviously, in some ways, do actually sort of lead into another supplement, Harlem Unbound, which is available for Call of Cthulhu, and published by Cosium. That's the 2nd edition. And then we go into Chicago itself. Got an early map of Chicago, and you've got a timeline beyond there, basically covering from 1870 all the way through. Covers the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, and this will be interesting for those of us who really don't know a great deal about the history of Chicago. I mean, obviously, Chicago has a reputation for criminality, whether that's to prohibition between the 1920s and early 30s, and then also for political corruption, and also as a railhead for essentially the destination for all the cattle drives coming up from the south. And that's a really the extent of my own personal knowledge about Chicago. I don't know much more about that. So this expands on it, comes up to the World's Fair of 1893. I mean, some of the information I've read because I've come across because I have read Devil in the Windy City. You have stats for Daniel Burnham, who I believe was the architecture of the event. Harry Houdini, there we go, who performed there as well. Buffalo Bill's Wild West and Congress of the Rough Riders from around the world. Basically make an appearance. So these are events and encounters which the player characters can attend. And this is a really fascinating piece of artwork because it gives just a sense of scale and the epic nature of the World's Fair. But there's a sense of it's ominous of dread, almost as if that something is intruding upon it. Clearly, obviously, that could be the Dreamlands. Let's have a look. So we go right through up to about 1894. Then we start talking about Chicago itself, just the geography and landscape of Chicago and vicinity, Lake Michigan and the Chicago River, the yards, essentially the great meatpacking yards it's talking about here. There we go, it's just there. So lots of information. Lincoln Park, beyond the city, and then we step out of the city and beyond into the Dreamlands itself, on the influence of outside the bounds of the mortal realms as well as the city, and we go on to clubs, cults, and coteries, Chicago sporting culture, and then basically given the northern climes of Chicago, we have a gift from Ithaca. Basically, on the stats for a Wendigo, they're going to come south when Chicago's weather turns icy, right through. Lots and lots of information in here about Chicago, its culture. You've gone to gangs and organised crime, and this is obviously prior to Prohibition, and decades before Prohibition. And it does deal with the Italian mob and the Black Hand extortion. There we go. And we've got How Hot Night in the Old Town, a Whispers RPG story arc. World's Fair Hotel. Basically, the proprietor, obviously Dr. H.H. Holmes, brief history, full description of the hotel, and that's a really well done map. It's very clear there, and there is so much information in this book. Just going through just so much information. It's basically second floor. What else we've got? So, this is taking up a whole chapter of its own. We're up onto the third floor. Right right through to basement. And it's horrors. So you have stats for the hotel staff. Dr. H.H. Holmes himself. And then a Whispers RPG Dreamland scenario for up to 5 investigators. Welcome to my parlour. So yeah, this is a really full book. You've got a Whispers RPG campaign, jumpstart, procurements and acquisitions in the back. So there is everything almost everything sort of like needs in here to start playing, because you've also got the Devil City pre-gens, where essentially the characters come out quite experienced, complete the steps outlined in the chapter 3 of the Whispers in the Dark Quick Start, which I've already done an unboxing of, to create a first level player character, and essentially advancing to 4th level and to play into this campaign. And every character basically gets a 4-page spread like that, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 characters in there. There's new character options such as new ancestry, human Chocho. That's going to be an interesting choice. So you actually have sort of like almost mythos infused characters investigating sort of like the weird world around them. Okay, and there's a bit of a basic appendix of content at the back here, and the maps are reprinted. So that is Horror in the Windy City, a source book for Chicago in the 1890s, particularly focusing upon the hotel built by H.H. Holmes. This is going to be interesting to read, certainly from the historical perspective, but also to see how the Lovecraftian investigation and horror is dealt with from a different angle from 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So the review for that will appear very soon. If you have enjoyed this unboxing, please click the like button down below. If you feel free to comment, I do take the time to look at those and respond. And if you want to see more of these unboxings in the Nook, please do subscribe. Thanks again for watching. This is Horror in the Windy City from Saturday Morning Scenarios. I will be back soon with another unboxing. Bye for now.